Making tea on Shabbat is very different than making coffee. On coffee, we already spoke that one could take the coffee and put it into a kli, into a cup, and then pour hot water into another cup, and from there he spills it to that cup. That's the best way to make coffee. With that, he solves that there's no cooking, and with that he solves that also there's no coloring of the water, because coloring of the water would be when I have the water that are clear in one cup, and then I spill the coffee in there, I color the water. But if the water spills into the coffee, although they get colored, but in such a way the halakha permits. And that would be the best way, although it's okay to do it also straight from the water into the coffee, because the coffee today is, as we said, the instant coffee is cooked. One could do that al pi halakha, but there's few restrictions we spoke about in the previous video. Today we're going to try to learn how to make tea. When you make tea, it's very different, because the tea bag is not cooked at all. They don't cook the tea before placing them in the bag, and therefore if you spill the hot water from the urn into the cup, and in the cup you have a bag, you're cooking the tea inside that cup, and that would be a Torah prohibition. The Mishnah Berurah speaks about this very, very severely. If one wants to place the water into the cup after spilling it from the urn, and now he has it on the cup, that cup is called now Kollel Shaarei. It's a second cup. That normally is not able to cook. And therefore, if I put the tea bag in there, I don't violate anything. But there's a concept called kalei habishul, things that are cooked very speedily, very quickly, very easily. One of those things that are considered kalei habishul, says the Mishnah Berurah, is that tea. And therefore the tea bag would be something that you're not allowed to place into that cup, although the cup is a Kollel Shaarei, because Kollel Shaarei would be able to cook things that are kalei habishul, things that cook easily. And therefore the best way to do tea on Shabbat is to make what we call tea sense, which means you make a concentration of tea before Shabbat by placing few bags inside that water that's inside the cup. When you make it very strong, you want to make it on Shabbat now, you want to make tea, you put a little bit of this concentration tea into a cup, and then you spill from the urn into a second cup, and from that cup you spill into this cup, and everything is fine. Since that water already is not the tea itself, and therefore such a thing would be allowed. But if one wants to take the more lenient approach, one could use the tea bags, but only if he places it on what we call kli shlishi, which means like this. Kli rishon would be the urn. Then from the urn you spill into what we call kli sheni, the second cup. Second cup normally doesn't cook, but it does cook things that are kalei habishul. Now you have on the third cup the tea bag. So therefore you can spill into that cup now, and that's not going to cook. Kli sheni doesn't cook the bag that's on the third cup. And therefore with that we solve all problems of tea, and this is the best way to make tea on Shabbat. Some poskim would not allow you, after you do that tea with the bag, to remove the bag out, because that would be borer. And that's a machloket. The Maritat says there's no borer in liquid, in lach. Therefore, taking out the tea would be allowed. And the reason for it is because we don't look at the tea bag inside the water as a mixture. There's no mixture over there. There's a tea bag and there's water. But since there are many poskim that did not agree with the Maritats, therefore it's the best not to do it that way. Rather, to drink the tea the way it is and leave the bag in there. Or, if one wants, he can spill the tea into another cup while the bag is in the first, another cup while the bag is on the first cup, and just don't spill it all the way till the end, and therefore such a thing will be allowed to be done on Shabbat, and this is the best way to do tea on Shabbat.